Hello students, next I will start with the properties of Fourier transform. There are 12 properties that you will study here. Remember that the properties of Fourier transform already you have done for the case of Fourier series. So the same properties, linearity property, multiplication property, time shifting property, time scaling property, all these property you have already seen. It is once again done here for the case of Fourier transform. So I am going to make this a very quick video. I don't want to waste too much of time behind it because it's a thing that we have already seen. The only thing is that there are slight mathematical differences. So keeping that in mind, you may have to pause the video several times to write this. So you can pause it accordingly, but I will try to move this little bit fast. Okay, so the properties of Fourier transform. First is the linearity property, which says that if you are having a function x1 of t, which has a Fourier transform of x1 of omega, and another function x2 of t, which has a Fourier transform of x2 of omega, then if you want to combine both these functions x1 of t, x2 of t into a single function with some multiplication factor a and b, then the Fourier transform of that will be, you take x1 of omega, you multiply it with a, so multiplication as such is going to be multiplication this side, only for the case of constant. Okay, so if you are multiplying x1 of t with a constant, x1 of omega also you multiply with that constant, plus that b multiplied with x2 of t basically converts to b multiplied with x2 of omega. Let's try to see its simple proof. We know that the Fourier transform of any function will be integral minus infinity to infinity, that function that we have written in the bracket here, into e raised to power minus j omega t dt. This is the simple equation. Now I can open up this bracket, I can take this one and this one separately as two integral values. So that is what exactly it is done here. So I have integrated the first part ax1 of t with e raised to power minus j omega t dt, plus the second part integral b x2 of t multiplied with e raised to power minus j omega t. Now a is a constant here, I can take it outside the integration. Similarly here b is a constant, so I can take b outside the integration, and what I will basically get is this equation where this much portion is basically what? It is x1 of omega, that is, it is the Fourier transform of x1 of t, which is x1 of omega, and this much part of the equation is the Fourier transform of x2 of t, which is x2 of omega. Hence the Fourier transform of this is going to be a into x1 of omega plus b into x2 of omega, as it has been written here. Hence this is proved. Next is the time shift property, which says that if there is any function x of t whose Fourier transform you know, then the time shifting applied to that particular function will result in the original Fourier transform getting multiplied with an e raised to power minus j omega t naught, where this t naught is basically the same t naught that we are having here. So that e raised to power minus j omega t naught will get multiplied with x of omega. So let us prove this. So the Fourier transform of any function, we know the equation is minus infinity to infinity integration of x of t minus t naught. So this is basically the function that we want to find the Fourier transform of, multiplied with e raised to power minus j omega t dt. Now I am going to substitute t minus t naught as t1. In that case, what is going to be t? T will be t1 plus t naught. And if I am trying to differentiate this with respect to t1, then I will get dt is equal to dt1. So I can replace with dt dt1. So instead of dt I can write dt1. Instead of this t I can write t1 plus t naught. And for this t minus t naught I can write t1. And that is what exactly we have done. This we have written as xt1 into e raised to power j omega minus j omega. Instead of t I have written t1 plus t naught, and instead of dt I have written dt1. So with that I will get the integral from minus infinity to infinity. I will split them into two parts, out of which this part is not related with respect to t1 because it's t0. So this I can take out completely. So when I take that out completely, I will get e raised to power minus j omega t outside. This whole portion is basically the Fourier transform of x1 of t, which is x1 of omega. So we have got e raised to power minus j omega t naught multiplied with x of omega as the Fourier transform of this. Hence, this is proved. Next, we go to the frequency shifting property. In frequency shifting property, it says that if there is a function x of t whose Fourier transform is x of omega, then multiplying x of t with e raised to power j omega naught t plus or minus will result in the shifting of the frequency spectrum. So x of omega will basically shift to minus or plus omega. What is to be important to be noted here is that plus or minus results in minus or plus. So the sign is reversed, that you have to take care. Now this is also sometimes called as multiplication by exponential, because you are multiplying x of t with an exponential function to basically get a shift. Now here I want to say something. See, when you have e raised to power plus or minus j omega naught t, you can see that this comes from the Euler's function, the exponential, the imaginary part or from the Euler's function. E raised to power j omega naught t is used for both sine as well as cosine. So it is basically you are multiplying x of t with a sine or a cosine. And what is that? That is basically modulation. So if you modulate a wave, you will shift that particular wave spectrum to some other frequency. So this is basically sometimes also called as a modulation one. So you have to take care, you have to understand this, that when you are going to multiply with e raised to power j omega naught t, you are shifting the spectrum from some frequency to a higher or a lower frequency. Okay, let us prove this. So the Fourier transform of any function, you write the function into e raised to power minus j omega t dt. Now here this and this, both of them, if they are multiplied, we can join them together. So that's how we have joined them as e raised to power minus j omega minus omega naught. Now what is this whole equation? This whole equation is the Fourier transform of x of t, but here the variable instead of omega is going to be omega minus omega naught. So it is x of omega minus omega naught. So multiplying with e raised to power plus j omega t has resulted in a minus omega naught. Similarly, if you would multiply with minus omega naught, you will get as omega plus omega naught. Hence, this is proved. Next is the time reversal property. In time reversal property, what it says is that if you are having a function x of t whose Fourier transform is x of omega, then if you are reversing that x of t to x of minus t, so you are reversing in time. So if you are doing a time reversal, a frequency reversal also happens. So whatever is in x, minus axis, minus omega axis will come in plus omega, and plus omega will go to minus omega. So basically it is going to flip. Okay, so let us prove it. By definition, if I am going to find out the Fourier transform of x of minus t, basically I will substitute here. I will write it as x of minus t e raised to power minus j omega t dt. We know the equation. Now if I am going to replace minus t with t, so here if I am going to replace minus t with t, it is going to be t. Here if I am going to replace minus t, so I take this minus with this t and replace it as at t, I will get this as t. Okay, now to get a minus here in e raised to power minus j I want, so to get a minus here, I will make omega as minus value. So that is what we have done here. I have taken a minus here, so I will write this as minus omega. So now if you look at this equation, what is this equation? This equation is the Fourier transform of x of t, where omega has now become minus omega. So it is basically x of minus omega. Hence this is proved. Next is the time scaling property. What is time scaling property? According to time scaling property, if you are having a function x of t whose Fourier transform x of omega is known, then if you are scaling x a of t, you will basically get the same x of omega, but that is also scaled. But here if it was multiplication, here it has resulted in division. And then you are multiplying it with 1 by a. You are multiplying it with 1 by absolute value of a. So one thing you remember, or one thing you can notice here, that here multiplication has resulted in division. So if it is multiplication, means I can say that it is, if suppose a is greater than 1, then I can say that it is basically what? It is basically time expansion. If this is time expansion, here what has happened? Division. So basically in frequency domain, it is going to be compression. So here if it is expansion, it is going to be compression. Similarly, if a is less than 1 here, then here it is going to be omega by some value less than 1, means here it is going to be expansion. So a compression here, if a value is less than 1, it is going to be compression here. A compression in this domain will lead into an expansion in frequency domain. So if you are compressing something here, you will expand it in the frequency domain. If you are expanding in the time domain, you will compress it in the frequency domain. Now why is this a having an absolute value? Let us look at that with the help of this proof. So if you want to take the Fourier transform of any function, you basically write that function multiplied with e raised to power minus j omega t dt. This is the equation of Fourier transform. Okay, now if I am going to substitute instead of at, if I am going to give a value p, then what is going to be t? T is going to be p divided by a, and the differentiation of this t with respect to p will give me basically dt is equal to dp by a. Okay, so this dt I can replace it with dp by a. This t I can replace it with p by a, and this at I can replace it with p. Correct? Then I will get the equation as x Fourier transform of x of at. I have replaced at with p, t with p by a, and dt with dp by a. So this 1 by a, since it does not belong to p, or it is not a function of p, so I will take that 1 by a outside, and the remaining portion I will write as such. Now what is this particular equation? This equation is basically the Fourier transform of x of t. Here I have written p, so it is basically x of t, the same function, but instead of t I have written p. But what has happened to omega? Omega has become omega by a. So the Fourier transform of a function is x of t will be equal to x of capital X of omega. That capital of X omega instead has become omega by a, and this 1 by a has as such come out. So I can write that the Fourier transform of x of at will be 1 by a x of capital X of omega by a. But we have already studied through this time reversal that if you are having some x of t giving a Fourier transform x of omega, then x of minus t will result in x of minus omega. So if I apply that same property here, I will see that x of minus at will result in a minus omega here, so I will get x of minus omega. But in both these cases, you see this 1 by a is common. So generally people will think that, okay, if I am having a negative value of a, then I should make this a also negative. No, in this answer you can see that the a does not become negative. That's why we write that x of at, if you are trying to take the Fourier transform, you will get 1 by a absolute value of a. That means the a will always be a positive value, even if a is going to be negative here. But if a is going to be negative, if a is going to be negative, then I should have written here plus of omega. Sorry, this is plus of omega. Okay, so please correct this. It is x, capital X of omega by a. That means if it is going to be negative here, then automatically it will be a negative here, so it will look like this. But if it's a positive here, then it should be capital X omega by a. So you can write this as plus omega. Okay, so hence that property is proved. Next is the time differentiation property. In time differentiation property, if you are having a function x of t whose Fourier transform is capital X of omega, then the differentiation of that x of t is going to be j omega multiplied with x of omega. Okay, j omega multiplied with x of omega. And by definition, so let us prove this. Okay, the Fourier transform. So if you want to take the Fourier transform of x t differentiation, then all you have to do is you take the x omega and you multiply it with omega. Now by definition, x of t, that means through Fourier inverse transform. So this is the equation of Fourier inverse transform. You can look at the previous lessons and you can see the equation of Fourier inverse transform, inverse Fourier transform. So in inverse Fourier transform, if you know x of omega, you can find x of t by using this particular equation. Now if this particular equation I am going to differentiate with respect to t, then I will get dt, d by dt of x of t. Then I will differentiate this side also. If I differentiate this side, 1 by 2 pi I will take outside, and the remaining portion I will be differentiating. Obviously since it is with respect to t, x of omega can't be differentiated, only e raised to power j omega t can be differentiated. So that is what we are going to do. So when we differentiate e raised to power j omega t, basically we get a j omega outside. So j omega into e raised to power j omega t, out of which if I combine this j omega with x of omega, then I will get both of them in one bracket. And what is this equation? This equation is basically the equation of trying to find out the Fourier inverse transform of a function j omega x omega. So this is basically the Fourier inverse of j omega x omega. What? D by dt of x of t. Hence it is proved that if you are having a differentiation of x of t, which can also be written as x dash of t, the Fourier transform of that will be j omega x, capital X of omega. Now further, if you are trying to again differentiate this, then again you will multiply this whole function with one more j omega. So if you are going to differentiate with n times, differentiate t with respect to t n times, then all you have to do is take x of omega and multiply j omega n times. So remember, j omega 2 times means j square. J square is what? Minus 1. So like that you have to take care. Okay, so j omega raised to power n x of omega. Next we will look into the next property, which is the differentiation in frequency domain. Here what we are trying to say is that if there is a function x of t whose Fourier transform is x of omega, then if you are going to multiply x of t with time itself, that means if you are going to multiply with a function which is having t, so if you are multiplying it with t, then what will happen in this side is the normal x of omega get differentiated once and gets multiplied with j. If it is t square, then you again multiply with one more j and then you double differentiate x of omega. So let us prove this. By definition, we know that the Fourier transform x of omega will be given by this particular equation. That means Fourier transform of x of t is basically given by this equation. Now, if I am going to differentiate x of omega, what will I get if I am going to differentiate x of omega? Then I differentiate this equation also with respect to omega. I know that x of t is not dependent on omega, only e raised to power minus j omega is dependent with respect to omega. So if I am going to differentiate, I will not differentiate x of t, I will only differentiate this. So if I am going to differentiate that, what is going to be with respect to omega? Differentiation will be minus jt will come out, correct? So that minus jt has come out. The remaining e raised to power j omega t is as such there. So now if I take this t and multiply with x of t, so this is x of t, okay, tx of t, and this minus j I have taken outside. Now tell me, what is this equation? This equation basically represents the Fourier transform of txt. This equation gives the Fourier transform of txt. So just make one thing sure, this dt I have written here as d omega. This should have been dt, and this omega also should have been dt. Please make that correction. Please don't repeat that mistake. This dt is going to be dt here, it's not d omega. Okay, anyway, so that equation will be the Fourier transform of txt. Therefore I will write that the Fourier transform, the differentiation of x of omega is minus j, this minus j multiplied with the Fourier transform of txt. Therefore I can say that the Fourier transform of txt is, if I take this j the other side, it becomes plus j. So plus j d by d omega of x omega. Now if I am going to further multiply it with more values, that many values of j and differentiation I have to do. So this part you have to remember. It is very useful for solving problems. There are some problems and very good problems which get solved using this particular property. We will see that when we do the problems of Fourier transform. Next is the time integration property. The time integration property says that if you are having a function x of t whose Fourier transform is x of omega, then the integration of x of t, which is now written as x of tau d tau integration from minus infinity to t. So you can see that the integration of this will result in some function of t, isn't it? If you put the upper limit as t, then the integration will result in some function of t. So again, this is some function of t. Okay, so that the Fourier transform of that will be 1 by j omega x of j omega if x of omega value, that means this omega value, if the omega is equal to 0, if that x of 0 is actually 0, capital X of 0 is 0, then it is this equation. And if it is not 0, then basically you have to write this equation. Basically we have to solve for this first one. Okay, so let us prove it. So by definition we know that x of t is basically given by, that means the inverse Fourier transform equation is, by definition, x of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral from minus infinity to infinity x of omega e raised to power j omega t d omega. Now here if I am going to replace t with tau, so this t also I will change with tau. Why I am changing it with tau? Because I want to basically write it into this fashion. So if I am going to replace t with tau, then the equation becomes x of tau, so I have changed t to tau, 1 by 2 pi integral x of omega e raised to power j omega tau. So again I have replaced t with tau. Now if I am going to integrate this with respect to tau, so I will write x of tau d tau integral from minus infinity to t. So now this whole function is now a function of t now. Okay. So here also I have to differentiate, or I have to integrate this one also with respect to tau. So that is exactly what we have written here. The same thing we have done the integration in the right hand side also. That is what is written here. Now if I am trying to change the order of integration, that means, see, d tau is only here. So this integration for d tau will happen only for this. So I can take that inside, and I can take this d omega x omega, I can take it outside. So by doing that, I take integration minus infinity to infinity x omega outside, and d omega also I take it outside. The remaining I bring inside the bracket. So minus infinity to t integral of e raised to power j omega tau d tau. So now you can see this is a function of only This is a function of only tau, so this integration will work out. And what is the integration? E raised to power j omega tau integration is e raised to power j omega tau divided by j omega with limits t minus infinity to t. Correct? Now if I am going to substitute this, then basically I will get this equation e raised to power j omega t minus e raised to power minus infinity. We know that e raised to power minus infinity is 0. So I will get e raised to power j omega t by j omega, and that is what we have written here. Now we have taken that j omega and combined it with x of omega. We have combined both of this together as one function. So now look at this equation, this whole equation. What do you see? This is the Fourier inverse transform of this function, x omega by j omega. The Fourier inverse transform of this function. So I can write that this integration value is equal to this, which is basically the Fourier inverse transform of x omega by j omega. Correct? Correct? So I can write that the Fourier transform, I can write it in the equation that Fourier transform of the integral of x of tau will be 1 by j omega into x omega. Hence this is also proved. You can pause the video in between and you can write it. I understand that it's quite a lengthy written material, but I had tried to make it as a small video. Our first video that I made, it actually came out to be 1 hour. So that would have been really lengthy. That's why I have made this into a shorter one. Next is the convolution property. What does convolution property say? It says that if you are having a function x1 of t whose Fourier transform is x1 of omega, another function x2 of t whose Fourier transform is x2 of omega, then if you are trying to convolute x1 of t and x2 of t together, then in the Fourier transform domain or in the frequency domain, what happens is you are going to multiply x1 of omega with x2 of omega. So this is a very important property, the convolution property. It says that if you want to convolute two functions, which we know is very complex, the convolution of two functions will basically be just the multiplication of two functions in their frequency domain. So if you take two spectrum and if you multiply that, it's as good as basically trying to convolute. Where this is going to be used, we know that if there is a system, the output of the system will be convolution of input with the system. So if you convolute the input with the system, instead of that you can take the Fourier transform of the input, the Fourier transform of the system, and multiply both of them, and you will get what is going to be the output spectrum. And from that you can then do inverse Fourier transform of get back in time domain what is the output. Okay, when we do the problem, you will make these things and all, you will get more clear, and then as you go forward, all of this you will be able to assimilate and try to remember. Right now it might be looking too much. I understand that there is a lot of portion that is getting covered. It is something that we cannot reduce, because this is something that is already there in the syllabus, and it's a little bit lengthy syllabus. I understand that, but we will try to finish it as easily and as quickly as possible. Okay, so what is the proof? If I want to take the Fourier transform of any function, all I have to do is I have to substitute in this particular equation the function here multiplied with e raised to power j omega t dt. Now I am trying to write the equation of the convolution of x1 of t with x2 of t. I have used a different color here. You can see that I have used a blue color here. So this equation of convolution has expanded into this equation, where this d tau is basically with this tau is there. Here also there is tau, but you can see that this is also a function of t. So I will try to change the order of integration such that I bring dt inside and I take d tau outside. So what will happen in that? So changing the order of integration, Now I take x1 of tau outside, d tau also outside. So since it is written in blue, you can very clearly see how this has changed. Okay. So x1 of tau has gone outside, d tau has also gone outside, and now whatever is with respect to t is remaining inside. Now here, if I am going to, instead of t minus tau, I am going to use p. And instead of t, I am going to use from this equation t is equal to p plus tau. So or tau plus p. So I am going to use that here. Okay. And instead of dt from this equation, dt is equal to dp. So I am going to use dp instead of dt. So I have made those changes. And this e raised to power minus j omega t is tau plus p, which can be written as 2 multiplication of 2 exponential functions, out of which with respect to p only this function is there. This is not with respect to p. So this I will take outside. So that I have taken outside. The remaining whatever is in the bracket, I wrote them together. Now what is this equation? This equation is basically the Fourier transform of x2 function. Of course it is not with respect to p, but it is with respect, it is not with respect to t, but it is with respect to p. But the answer is with respect to omega. So x2 of p, if I am trying to take the Fourier transform, I will get capital X2 of omega. And since this is with respect to d tau, so I will take this x2 of omega outside, and that is what I have done here. So I have taken x2 of omega outside. Now what remains? Minus infinity to infinity x1 of tau, and this e raised to power minus j omega tau d tau. Now look at this equation. This equation is the Fourier transform of x1 of tau, which is, because of this omega, it will come out to be capital x1 of omega. So you have got the multiplication of x2 of omega with x1 of omega. Hence, the property is proved. Next property is the multiplication property, the 10th property. In this particular property, it says that if you are having two functions with the Fourier transform x1 of t leading to x1 of omega and Fourier transform of x2 of t leading to x2 of omega, then if you are going to multiply them in the time domain, it will result in convolution in the frequency domain, multiplied with 1 by 2 pi. So you can see how interesting this is, that when you multiply in time, you get convolution in frequency domain, and in the previous property, when you convoluted in time domain, you got a multiplication in the frequency domain, isn't it? So now let us look at this. If you are going to multiply two functions, if I am going to take the Fourier transform of that according to my equation, the function is written here, multiplied with e raised to power j omega t dt, correct? Now this x1 of t, I am going to write it as the Fourier inverse equation of x1 of lambda. Now I have not used omega because omega is already here. So I am not going to use omega. I am going to use a new variable, which is lambda. So this x1 of t can be written as the Fourier inverse or inverse Fourier transform of x1 of omega. Instead of omega, I have used lambda. So x1 of lambda. So this is the equation of Fourier inverse transform of x1 of lambda, which will give me x1 of t. So if I do that, and then if I go for changing the order of integration, so you can see this is lambda, this is t with respect to dt. So I will take this one, dt I will take it inside. I will also take this one also, I will take it inside. Whereas the lambda portion I will take it outside. So d lambda I will take it outside. Integration minus infinity to infinity x1 of lambda also I will take it outside, along with 1 by 2 pi. So that portion I have taken outside. You can see this part of the blue I have taken outside from here. This remain inside, and I bring the integration minus infinity to infinity. Then the x2 is there, this portion is there, e raised to power minus j omega t is also there into dt. So now you can see this whole function is a function of t, where these two can be joined together, and I will write them as minus j omega minus lambda plus omega t. I can write it as lambda minus omega, but I want a minus here. Why? Why do I require a minus here? Because look at this equation. in this equation, this is the Fourier transform of x2 of t, isn't it? It is the Fourier transform of x2 of t, but instead of omega, it is now minus lambda plus omega. So I wanted this minus, then only it becomes a Fourier transform, isn't it? So to make it Fourier transform, this minus had to come. That's why I wrote it in this way. So minus lambda plus omega, or I can write omega minus lambda. So what is this? This is the Fourier transform of x2 of t, which is x2 of capital X2 of omega, but instead of omega I will write omega plus or omega minus lambda. So that is what exactly we have done here. So this whole bracket gets replaced as x2 of omega minus lambda, and now look at this equation. So this whole equation, this big equation has now converted into such a small equation. But look into this equation. What is this equation? x1 of lambda, x2 of omega minus lambda, d lambda. This equation is the convolution between x1 of omega with x2 of omega. And that convolution equation, when we write it in convolution form, we will get into this. So 1 by 2 pi into x1 of omega convoluted with x2 of omega. Hence, this is proved. Next, we will look into the duality property. Duality property is x of t if suppose it gives a Fourier transform of x of omega. So a function x of t, if it gives x of omega, then capital X of t, what is capital X of t? See, here there are two shapes. One is the shape of x of t. It is giving me a shape in the spectrum. So you know that we have already drawn in elementary signal, Fourier transform elementary signal. We have already seen that if you take the Fourier transform of one signal shape, you will get another spectrum shape. That spectrum shape is represented by capital X, and this shape is represented by small x. Now what here in duality property we do is, we are trying to take this shape. So that is why capital X of t Fourier transform will result in, so if I am going to take this one's Fourier transform, that is what it is asking. If I am going to take this shape and trying to find out what is its Fourier transform, then I will get this x of t as my x of omega, but it will be minus omega 2 pi. This duality property I will explain where it is very much used, because it's a very, you can learn the application of this one very much in communication. I will explain that after this property. So let us look at the proof. The proof is very simple. We know that according to the Fourier inverse transform or inverse Fourier transform equation, x of t is basically given by this equation. Okay. Now if I take 2 pi the other side, what remains here in the right hand side is this equation. Now here, if I am going to replace t with minus t, then the equation here, it will become x of minus t, and here it will become this. Now if I am going to replace omega with t, so if I make this omega as t, this omega also becomes t, this omega also becomes t, and also t with omega. So here I am having x of t e raised to power j, omega is already t. Now this t I am going to make it into omega. So what will happen? Nothing. This omega t will remain omega t itself, because you are replacing omega with t and t with omega. So omega t remains omega t itself, whereas this omega turns into t, this omega turns into t. So the equation now becomes this. So then this equation t has become x of omega. Here it is. Now what is this equation? This equation is basically the equation of Fourier transform of capital X of t. Correct? And what is the Fourier transform of capital X of t? Small x of minus omega into 2 pi. And that is what we are writing with this particular, that the Fourier transform of capital X of t is going to be x of minus omega. I told you I will explain the use of this duality property. See, generally if you would go for a pulse waveform looks something like this, correct? Now this pulse waveform, we can use it for the bit 1 and low for 0. So in communication, in say in mobile communication, if I want to send an image or if I want to send my voice signal, then it is sent as some digital message 101. So you will all think that okay, this is the waveform that is sent, but you all know in Fourier transform we have already studied that a pulse waveform will basically have a Fourier transform which looks like a sync pulse. We have studied it in previous video, isn't it? The Fourier transform of the same basically looks like this. It's like a sync waveform and it is going all the way up to infinity. So what does this say? It says that if you want to send a pulse, its frequency should occupy the whole frequency spectrum. Now how can that be? Because if one user occupies the whole frequency spectrum, then how is it going to work out? How is it going to, how we are going to make 2 or 3 users in a single channel? So now the duality property says that, okay, if I am going to select one as this shape, so this is one, then I will get the frequency spectrum like this. That is what the duality principle says. You can look at the duality principle or duality property. What it says that if you get this waveform and try to take the Fourier transform, you will get this. And if you take this as the waveform and try to take the Fourier transform, you will get this. The Fourier transform I am saying. So if you use this as the time signal, this becomes your frequency plot. And now you look at the frequency plot. Your frequency plot is only occupying this much window. So to occupy this small channel, your bit pattern should be like this. So originally in our communication, if I want to send 1 and 0, the waveform that I am sending is this is 1, and for 0 I will send a negative signal. Let me draw it with a different color. This is going to be another sync pulse, but this is going to be your 0. So this will be bit 1, this will be bit 0. Now you might be thinking, sir, both of these are overlapping. No, you look at this particular time. At this particular time, this signal is 0, whereas this is high, so 1 pulse. And look at this particular time, this signal is 0, whereas this green signal is low, at -1. So this becomes bit 1 and this becomes bit 0. And this is the waveform, believe me or not, this is the waveform that is used in your mobile communication digital and not this waveform. You will study this in your higher class. Next we will look at the last property, which is the conjugation property, which says that if you are having a function x of t which gives you x of omega, then the Fourier transform of x conjugate of t will basically give you x conjugate of minus omega. Okay, how? By definition we know that the Fourier transform of x of t is basically given by this equation. If I try to take the conjugate of x of omega, it is as good as taking the conjugate of this whole equation, which I have done here. Well, the conjugate moves inside x of t, I will take the conjugate, and we know that the conjugate of e raised to power minus j omega is e raised to power plus j omega t. Okay, if that is the case, then by replacing omega as minus omega, I will basically get this equation as e raised to power minus j omega t. Now what is this equation? This equation is the Fourier transform of x conjugate t. That is, the Fourier transform of x conjugate t is x conjugate minus omega, where I have replaced omega with minus omega. So thus we can say that x of t is the Fourier transform of x conjugate of t is x conjugate of minus omega. So with this we have finished the 12 properties. I have tried to make it into a shorter video, but I cannot make it even shorter than this. You can understand I have gone with considerable speed. Try to finish this by writing this. There is one more property, the Parseval's property, but that I will do it in a separate video with some problems. So thank you.